So I feel as though as we've progressed, we've also set ourselves back as a community, as a as black people. We've come so far to, try to get certain rights, get in certain places, and we have accomplished most things. But the problem is in the community where people are either holding each other back or jealous of each other or don't want somebody to succeed over them. And because of that hatred, we could never really find peace around the community and just spread it across.
Welcome back to Our Children Need Roots and Wings. I'm your host, Eric Lewis. You know, we often talk about the roots as the values and the community that ground us. And for many of us, that foundation is built right in the pews of our local church. Today's guest is a perfect example of what happens when you take those roots and a whole lot of rhythm and hard work. I've had a front row seat to watch this young man grow from a kid behind a drum kit to a leader in the making. He's been providing the heartbeat of our worship services since he could barely reach the pedals. And today, he's taken that same discipline and passion into the world of higher education and the workforce. He's currently navigating his journey and his career path, translating the focus he's learned in music and putting that path towards his professional future. Joining us today to talk about his transition from the sanctuary to adult life and how he's staying grounded while reaching for his goals. Please welcome a talented musician, a dedicated student, and a young man I'm proud to call a brother in the faith, Azariah Nixon. So Azariah, I want to welcome to the show, and finally you have made it behind the microphone.
Yeah, finally. Yeah.
So tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
All right. My name is Azariah or Azariah J. Nixon. I'm 20. I've been playing drums since I was a little kid, since I was like 3, and I've just been progressing ever since. I love music.
Since you were 3?
Yeah.
Okay. So where'd you get your first? Who bought you your first drum set?
My first real drum set, or like just the first kid?
The 3-year-old when you started playing. So how did you first start playing at 3 years old? Let me start there.
I have no idea. I just kind of picked it up and just went with it. And I vaguely remember, but I do remember when I was like 3 years old, I would say, or 3 or 4 or something like that. And I had a birthday party and it was a surprise. And I was in my auntie bed and I woke up and they had a little kid drum set waiting for me out there. I don't know how I remember that, but it's crazy. I was like 3.
Okay. So did somebody inspire you to play drums? Like, were you watching somebody and you was like, yeah, I want to do that?
Nah, nobody inspired me, but somebody did. Nobody inspired me to start playing, but they did have a couple people who inspired me to get better, and I watch, which is Deacon Jesse. I always watched him. I told him, I tell everybody, I was like, that's my mentor right there. So everything he did, I would take it in, I would learn it, and I would try to play it or imitate it the best way I can. He told me that I superseded him, which I don't really like saying that. I like to remain humble. And it's, skill, you know, once you do it, gotta get better. So you gotta perfect your craft. Skill wise, maybe so. I feel like with him, he has heart and passion that I've never seen a player play like that before. Like, it's really amazing to watch.
I want to talk about, so how old are you again?
I'm 20.
All right. So I want to talk about like what life is like for you, between school and work and church and just living his life as a 20-year-old. And then we'll kind of get into like what are some of your future goals and things like that. So let's kind of go back a little bit. And so one of the things that I want to talk to you about, so you grew up in church, right?
Yeah.
And so you've always your grandfather has been a pastor ever since you've been knowing him. He's now a bishop. Your mom is, growing up in church, all your aunts and uncles and growing up in church. And so talk to me about, for you, what that experience has been like growing up in church.
Well, the experience is kind of it's good. It's cool. I like it because, well, unlike my mama and they sisters and brother, my mom she let me explore and experience different things while I was in high school.
So what does that amount to? Help me understand that.
Well, I'm not really a party goer, but she let me go to a couple, high school, prom parties,
Okay.
stuff like that. Personally, it's cool. I don't get what the hype is about, but I'm glad she let me go and she let me experience, a couple of other things that I'm glad that she understood, because whenever she grew up, some things she just couldn't experience. So she gave me the free will to go and, see what I wanted to do, or, you know, go test the waters and things of that nature.
Okay. And so what's your favorite thing about, because I knew your mom when she was younger.
Yeah.
And I used to even get teased about this as an adult, that Eric be at church all the time. So we would have church Sunday nights. I'm sorry, we had church Sunday morning, Sunday night, in addition to Sunday school.
Yeah.
Sunday morning service, Sunday night service. We would have Bible study.
Yeah.
And that was even before we had like the 2 locations. So we would have Bible study. And then even after that, I think at that time we only had Bible study on Tuesday.
Don't forget about Friday services.
That's where I'm going. And then we would have Friday services.
Yeah.
All right. And so we were in church a lot.
Yes, we have.
But growing up in church, what was your favorite thing about growing up in the church that you grew up in?
Probably watching my grandfather preach.
Okay.
Which he has a lot of wisdom and knowledge that only a couple people in this world I've ever seen have. His knowledge and wisdom goes beyond, what he's been through. He's been through a lot, so that alone can transfer to the wisdom and knowledge that he has now. And his lifestyle, he's a very loyal man. He's a very humble man. What you see is what you get. Whatever he talks about while he preaching it, he's living it. I've never seen him do anything wrong. I've never seen him do anything bad. We all make mistakes, but in my eyes, he's like the greatest man besides Jesus Christ. He's like the greatest man of all time.
So, all right. And I hear you. So what because we all have it. So what would you say have been some of your challenges about growing up in church? Some things that you struggle with, give you hard times at times. Maybe not now, but maybe growing up.
Well, growing up, I guess whenever it came to like hanging out with certain kids, I was like, why I can't hang out with them, or why I can't do this, or why I can't do that? They all doing it, why can't I? And that was pretty much, the hardest part of doing that. Cause as a kid, you don't know how truly, well, you do know, but not as much. You don't know how different, set apart, and unique and peculiar you really are until you get older and realize the person that you're becoming, and you realize who you are is why you cannot, do things with other people, because you have something inside of you have to protect.
Okay, so tell me more about that.
About
So let me okay, so because I went to school too.
Yeah.
All right. I've been called preacher boy going to school.
Yeah.
All right. And so you got young people at school, or like you said, it could be because you was in the band, right?
I was.
All right. So whether it be during the school day or you got extracurricular activities, Um, and you know, you see kids having fun, you see kids doing things that you feel might be innocent. But you're told that you got to stay away from certain groups of kids.
Yeah.
And so why was that a challenge for you? Why did you like question that?
You know, it's just kind of when you're younger, sometimes they don't really explain it in a way because you're young. So all they're gonna say is don't do that because it's not good for you, or don't do that because you're not supposed to. They don't really explain as why until you get older and you can understand why you cannot.
All right. So talk to me about where'd you go to high school?
Where's Feliciana?
God bless your heart.
Yeah.
So talk to me about your experience going to school at West Feliciana.
All right. So the transfer from fourth grade to fifth grade, I was going from Hammond to St. Francisville, and the educational system was a big
So
leap.
hold on, back up. So because your mom was in school then?
She was, yeah.
Okay. So how long did you go to school in Hammond?
About 10, like, I was there for like 10 years.
Okay, go ahead.
So, school is easier in Hammond, but, I was also in fourth grade. But once I got to fifth grade, it started getting a little rough. Like, I'm like, whoa, what's going on? And I'm new, and was like really overly sensitive. Somebody would have told me something, I would be crying. Like, I'm like, yo, what's going on? So, and then I got to middle school, and man, oh man, I got sixth grade year. I was the man. I felt like I was the man. We went to the dome. I got to perform in the field. I went.
Wait, so you were in the high school band in the sixth grade?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
What instrument you played?
I played quads. I was the only quad player.
What's quads? I don't.
Quad is like when they got the four drum. Do 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 do. Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's
Okay.
like
Okay.
yeah. Mind you, it was really heavy when I was younger, and people it was like but between the bass drum and the quads, it's like the heaviest drum they got.
Okay. All right. So okay. So what? Talk about some of these high school experiences.
Can I go from middle school to high school?
Talk.
Yeah, okay. So sixth grade, I was the man going to the dome, and then I won talent shows, and then I did a lip sync. I had a big head that I was like doing everything. I was winning everything. I was getting all the girls, all the numbers. But my grades were slipping just a little bit, not too much, but just a little bit. But I pulled them up eventually. They weren't the best. I did better in high school. Um, seventh grade did band. Ain't too much happened. Eighth grade, COVID happened like around that year. And when going to eighth grade, going to ninth grade, from eighth grade to ninth grade, and it's still COVID, it was like a big switch. Mind you, stuff is not even how it's supposed to go because COVID's out. So I'm trying to figure everything out, and it's just like it's a lot. It's new for everybody. So like that ninth grade year was torturous.
Okay. Hold on. Back up a second for me. So, because I don't know how it's structured. So at West Feliciana, like middle school is considered high school. Or y'all have a separate middle school camp.
It's separate.
Okay. So y'all actually started high school ninth grade.
Yeah.
Okay. So talk to me about the COVID experience and why it was so torturous.
All right, so COVID was torturous due to the fact that everybody had to transfer into online now, and this is like the first time this ever happened. Like we were the first generation of people that experienced this type of thing. Like this was a whole new world for us. Like we go from seeing our friends, talking in class, eating around each other, playing outside, to just being at home on the Chromebook or on the laptop or whatever you was on, doing Zoom classes and doing absolutely nothing. Like it was
Doing
crazy.
nothing.
Well,
You're supposed to be doing class.
well, we was, but at the same time, nobody was really doing schoolwork during COVID. Nobody really was. Everybody was cheating, and this is
Everybody was what?
well, most people were cheating, and this is why it's like that right now. COVID set us back a little bit. People cheating got AI now, man.
So you was at your mama's house doing class, or?
Yeah, I was at my mom. I was at
Okay.
my auntie house.
Okay.
Yeah.
So was just y'all there, or was like your cousins coming through, or
We had a movie night every night during COVID.
okay,
We was watching Madea. I was making brownies. It was ice cream. It was just it was cool, like, cause family. Even though we weren't supposed to be together, like during that time, I feel like even when it's divided, the world tried to, COVID sickness tried to divide us. We still was strong because we had a family. We had family time, and that's the best thing you could do. Even when times is tough, you always got to depend on. You should always be able to depend on family. Because I know they got some people out there who can't depend on their family, but I'm glad with my family, I can always depend on them.
okay. So let's switch back to church a little bit. So so you'll be the first opportunity I've had to ask a young person this. So it's a couple things, and we've talked about this in Sunday school.
All right.
So it's a couple things I want to kind of touch on. So one being, because you're kind of at that age now, which is why I was asking you the earlier questions. What we have experienced a lot of, I would say, probably over the last 10 to 15 years, particularly young people that grew up in the type of church that you grew up in,
Mm.
feel like, and you didn't say that your mom did this, but things were kind of strict.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of young people that came out of our church that either don't go to our church or don't go to our church anymore. I mean, either don't go to our church anymore or don't go to church at all. And I hear a lot because they feel like things were just so strict.
Yeah, me too.
And so, has that thought ever crossed your mind? You got 14 or 15 and was like, you know what? When I turn 18, I'm out.
Nah, cause they didn't make it hard for me to enjoy it.
Okay. Talk more about
I
that.
mean, of course they gonna make you pray and make well, they didn't make me. When I was younger, they made me, but like when I got older, it's like it's a choice. But the thing that's wrong with most parents in church, they always like to stamp what they've been taught. They always like to go about like, you know, in a certain direction. And they don't really some parents don't really teach their kids. They just tell them what to do and not show them what to do or explain it how to be a Christian or explain how to have a relationship, not just being a Christian, because being a Christian, that's the title. Having a relationship is totally different. So and I'm like, I be seeing like some of these kids, and I grew up with them. I'm like, man, I miss y'all. Y'all not even in church no more. And sometimes I can't even blame them, you know, because sometimes they've been through stuff. They don't want to go to church, or people feel like they've been judged in the church. I've heard with I talked to some of my cousins. They said they feel like church judged them, or they feel like they can't go because of certain things that they've done. They feel like they can't come back from, or they feel like it's like judgmental on them and stuff like that. So it could be a lot of reasons.
So, but let's stick on that point. Okay. And so I get that. I'm not gonna say whether I agree or disagree with that, but I get that. So my question is, if you having a conversation, whether it's your relative or not, like if you having a conversation with somebody and they say things like that, what do you say to them?
There's nothing that you can't come back from that God can't fix. God can fix anything that you allow him to fix. Cause you have to allow yourself to be vulnerable for him to help you. You can't just sit up here and just be frowned out and be like nobody help me. You have to surrender yourself. You have to choose surrender.
So okay, so let me ask you this, and I agree with what you said, but my question is, when people say stuff like that, and I've heard people of all age groups say things like that, but when people say stuff like that, is it more that do you feel like they're using it as an excuse? Because at the end of the day, only God can judge us, right? So,
Yeah. I feel like it could be an excuse, or sometimes it's just what it is. Some people use a whole lot of excuses to get out of church. Oh, that person hurt me. I'm leaving the church. Oh, she did that. Now I'm leaving the church. Oh, Bishop preached on my business. I'm leaving the church. That's an excuse, man, because there could be a whole lot going on. I bet you ain't gonna leave whatever you got going on, but you want to leave the church because it's it's more convenient for you to leave.
So, and I think what's interesting is, and again, it's not just certain age groups, but it just seems like there's this whole thing of people like just beating on the church and beating on the church, and everything's wrong with the church, and la. Everybody got issues with the church,
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of
and so it's a lot of that stuff that's going on, and so, I guess within your age group, talk to me more about like the things that you hear people say or the reasons why they got issues with the church.
one issue. People be having issues with the church is money.
Okay.
They feel like they feel like the church trying to rob the people.
So, okay, let's go there. Now, let's go there. So, I know you saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost, so you probably don't know about this. But there's a couple of brothers that's got this concert tour that's about to pop off. And I heard people like putting liens on their houses and all kind of stuff so they can buy tickets. I mean, it's a lot of stuff people spend money on.
There is a lot of stuff people.
And what troubles me is when people say stuff like that, is a lot of times the same people that complain about that also expect the church to take care of stuff going on out in the community, but then they don't want people to give money to the church, but they expect the church to take care of stuff outside of the church.
Right. Cause how the church gonna help outside the church, and the people in the church don't want to help inside the church to help outside the church.
What else you hear from people?
You know, they they feel like certain Christians are hypocrites.
Okay.
Because they'll live a life, they'll say this in church, but they'll live something else totally outside of church. And which is like one of the biggest parts, because I'm not gonna lie, around 14, 15, as you said, I was still playing the drums, I was still doing all this stuff too. But around 15, 16, I did kind of get a little wild. So, but I was honest. I tell my mama, tell my aunt, hey, I'm going through this, such and such and such and such. I am kind of doing this. Me being who I am, I'm open and honest. So if I do something, I'm telling myself. So if I'm not perfect, but y'all gonna know the real me.
And so the thing is, let me share a story with you. And this is before we even came to the church. When the previous church that we grew up in, um, Deacon Lewis, my dad, was like big on this thing. If you're not living right, you can't serve. Or you can't go in front of people. And so he was a deacon at that church. He taught Sunday school. My mama taught Sunday school. And like we were just active in church. And I'm gonna just tell you how, I don't know if I told the story in church before, but I'm gonna tell you how strict and serious he was about this. When I was in college, he bought me a car. Sometimes he might take my car for a spin or whatever. But the summer, my mama used to use the car all the time. Uh, After the summer, because I was in the summer program. So after the summer, I got my car full time and started, I mean, it was a new car, but I started souping it up and things. And so I got me a brand new pullout. Yeah, you might not know nothing about that, but we had pull-out CD players or detachable CD players.
Yeah.
And so I just had this big old case of CDs. And he got in there and he was like, you shouldn't be listening to that music, right? And so it used to be to the point where I would like just, because it was in a case. So if I knew there was a chance that one of them was going to use my car, I would take it out and put it in the trunk because I didn't want to hit him.
Smart move.
And so a couple times he'd get in there and it was a straggler just like laying on the floor and it's like, so you still listen to that music, huh? And so he told me, if you gotta go stop listening to that music, you're going to stop being in leadership. And so I was on the usher board, the youth usher board at that church. And I had to go because there was an older lady who was a sponsor or the president or whatever. And he said, you're going to go tell her that you can't serve on the usher board because you're not living the life you're supposed to be living. And so I'll be honest with you, I just feel like I don't feel like everybody feels like they should have that type of standard when it comes to being in leadership in church. And so when you go back to, some of the things you were saying, like, I ain't care about nobody judging me. Like I had to go to this lady and tell her this, but it
Yeah,
wasn't like I was going to stop coming to church.
yeah. But you had to step.
But I wasn't ashamed. Like I was doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
And some people might even say like, wasn't nothing wrong with that. But like I was living in his house. Those are his rules. I had to abide by them. And then I still came to church. And I'll say even, so it wasn't even a thing of like, oh, I'm just going to come to church because he said so. Like I was in college and I drove my own car. So even if they weren't home or he had to work or something, I still got up and I went to church. So sometimes I feel like it's like really got to be inside. It's
Yeah.
got to be inside of you.
Cause when you grow up and you leave, sometimes you don't have nothing to do with the church. Me, I love going to church. I go to a church over any party. I go to church over anything because I just love church. I just love being in the atmosphere. A lot of people who also love being in the atmosphere who like to worship, just not like sit there and spectate and facilitate, who actually active in church. I like that.
Oh, we're going to switch gears slightly. So let's go back to the music piece. Do you feel like music is a passion or just playing the drums
Music for me, or like,
for you?
yeah, music is a passion. I love music. Like I want to learn how to play different instruments. I have a keyboard I'm practicing, like talking about. Uh, I do love to listen to all different types of music. I don't just listen to gospel. Okay, just put that out there. I don't just listen to gospel. I listen to a little bit of R&B. Listen to a little bit of rap. I don't listen to rap like I used to. Just a little bit. Just listen to some jazz. Sometimes I listen to rock. I just listen to a little bit of everything. Bob Marley, just a little bit of everything. I love music, different sounds, different frequencies, hertz, different words, how chords are being played, different scales, all how things just go up. It's just like you gotta feel it. Like music is not just a thing you do, it's a feeling. Like you have to be in that moment. Like it's a moment. Just gotta be there.
So you said something I want to go back to.
Okay.
Um, and I was trying to think of his name. His name is in my head, so I'm not gonna forget it. But you said like frequency and the hertz. What was that?
I'm not too really
Hmm.
keen on that, but certain frequencies in music will make you feel certain things hourly, like different emotions. So if somebody were to play a certain frequency or hurt on like a rap music and it's just like pure race, it'll make you get in that mode. Certain love songs, it'll make you feel all lovey dovey, or certain not too appropriate songs, it'll make you want to jump out your body, you know? It's real though. Like the way people manipulate that type music for certain situations, that's real.
So, and the reason I wanted to go back there, because there's an artist from my day, which was he was in the group Big Boy, not Big Boy, the other one, in the group Bone Thugs and Harmony. He at his seasoned age, he made an album, I think last year, year before last, something like that. But in the interview, he was talking about the same thing. And so people got mad with him because it actually wasn't a rap album. It was more hermeneutic. So it was like different instruments and stuff.
Yeah.
And so he was kind of saying some of those same things. And I want to say, or maybe when he was talking about this, I was thinking about it. So I'm not saying this is what he said. But as he was talking, and kind of like you were just saying, I started thinking like there used to be these cartoons back in the day where somebody was playing like this basically like a wooden flute. Um, it was kind of a racist cartoon, but people playing like wooden flutes, and then these snakes would start coming out these buckets. And so he was kind of basically saying the thing about the frequencies of different music has an impact on us spiritually.
It does.
All right. And so I will say, kind of growing up, back to your point about like parents not saying why you shouldn't do stuff or just don't do that. I think sometimes we do miss the mark when it comes to music and that. And so sometimes it's not just the words that's in music that you have described as inappropriate.
Yeah,
Um,
it's the music itself.
the music itself can make you move
Yeah,
sometimes.
it
And so
really
that's why
can.
sometimes in church, you see people doing stuff
Yeah,
that don't look very holy.
they like. I think somebody who was, I don't know if I get this right or not, but forgive me. But Michael Jackson had made a song. I think it was "Blaming on the Boogie" or something like that.
Yep.
And the person that was producing it or whatever he was doing, they after they stopped it, he left and he just couldn't stop dancing. And that lets you know right there how you can't stop dancing. You just can't stop dancing from that point. You just couldn't stop yourself. That's how I know music is powerful, because words are powerful. And if you can manipulate the words and the music, you can create a reality through your words. And music moves you, and words are powerful. So if you have powerful words that can move people, it'll make a difference.
Whew, that was powerful there, dude. Wow. Okay. So, let's see. Let's spend a little time on this as a 20-year-old. Um, so you grew up in church.
Yes, I have.
Nice, wholesome family. Your grandparents surrounding you. You grew up, spent time in Hammond and West Feliciana.
Yes, I did.
But there's some stuff been going on lately with people your age that like I'm concerned about. I don't even know if you have insider input or if it concerns you or not.
Okay.
You know, we've been having a lot of shootings and killings going on in backwoods lately.
Yeah.
And so have you I guess just to ask you straight up, like have you experienced gun violence directly or indirectly? Like know somebody that's been impacted by it?
Directly no, cause I stay inside the house. I don't really go places. Even though things can happen to you while you're out and about, I thank the Lord for his protection, because things could go wrong, things could happen. But because of God, I've been protected and kept even when I didn't want to be kept. But I do know a couple of people, a couple of my cousins that have, suffered with, gun violence and things of that nature. And I'm not really close to them, but
Okay.
at the same time, it's like
So they shot somebody, somebody shot them.
I don't really know.
Okay.
I just know they were, they were in that type of stuff.
Okay. And the reason I bring it up, because sometimes we'll be at our church location in Baton Rouge, and you might hear stuff, or
Yeah.
a lot of times when we have evening service, sometimes there's some concerns, and literally
Yeah.
a kid that had been coming to the church, like lived right across the street from their church, got killed like right in front of the church.
Yeah.
Um, and so, but the other thing is, I'm really just trying to figure out like how do we stop it. And I know there've been stuff that's happened in West Feliciana, so even in the rural parts of our community, people not safe. So there's things that have happened in West Feliciana over the last few years.
So how do we stop it, like as us, like as a black people, or like as a whole?
As a whole.
I was finna get to the nitty gritty of black people, but all
You
right.
said what?
I was finna get to the nitty gritty
Okay,
of
go
black.
ahead, Professor.
All right. So I feel as though as we've progressed, we've also set ourselves back as a community, as as black people. We've come so far to, try to get certain rights, get in certain places, and we have accomplished most things. But the problem is in the community, where people are either holding each other back or jealous of each other or don't want somebody to succeed over them. And because of that hatred, we could never really find peace around the community and just spread it across. We can never just take one step at a time and forgive each other, because forgiveness, if you don't forgive somebody, that'll eat you up and that'll eat that person up, and that's why they have so much hatred, because people don't know how to forgive. forgiveness is not just for them, it's just for you too. That's why whenever somebody shoots somebody and they trying to get back on somebody or any type of ordeal like that, that's with unforgiveness and that's also with pride.
Okay. And so I'm gonna tell you, and you already know this, somebody gonna say, now this brother went to one of the top rated school districts in the state of Louisiana. What do you know about this life? So hold on. So they gonna say, what do you know about this life? Then they gonna be like, because they say the same thing about Zachary High. But having kids that went there, I know it ain't.
Yeah.
All right. So how often did y'all have fights at West Feliciana? Because I mentioned I know stuff be going on in St. Francisville, but you were just like, nah, I know stuff be going down in St. Francisville. So how many times did y'all have fights in high school?
I don't want to expose my school.
No, you should, because I think, see, this the problem. See, okay, so this the problem. This the problem. There's two problems here. So one of the problems that's going on in Zachary is being a top rated school district for a number of years, competing with West Feliciana for the number one spot. It was this idea that everything was perfect. And then now they started having problems and they blaming black people, and even black people are blaming black people for bringing problems to Zachary. But I know y'all got problems in West Feliciana.
Yeah, we had problems with Felicia. During my 11th grade year, during like November, it was 1 week we just had a fight every day for 1 week straight, and I've seen majority of them. I'm like, what's going on? Is there a fight in the air? What's going on? It was like they was just fighting. I don't even know what happened. I was in my classroom, and I get out of my classroom. We in lunch. I try to get back to my classroom. See, oh, it's fighting. Then next period, there's another fight. Like, what's really going on here?
So what was the reason they were fighting?
I don't know. I really, as much as I really be out the mix, I don't really be know what be going on. Cause what are you fighting for? Why can it not be resolved with words? Or why can't y'all just leave each other alone? Why does there have to have a need of confrontation in fisticuffs? Why is there for that?
So did you feel safe in high school?
Yeah, cause I stayed to myself.
Okay. So let me share something. The same. Now I'm way older than you, but I say the same thing. Somebody asked me, I did a survey recently where they asked if you feel safe in your community and in your neighborhood. I said, yeah, but honestly, but the reason why is because I don't go nowhere. Stay in my house.
See?
So I go to work,
Yep.
the church,
Yep.
the grocery store, and that's it.
Yep.
But what's crazy was, this was last week, I think it was. I was driving North Street, Laurel Street, something like that, on the other side of downtown, like on this side of the interstate, going towards downtown. I was trying to get on the interstate, and I stopped to make a left turn to get on the interstate, like right under the interstate. And this car was in front of me, and I don't remember if the light had turned green or not, but I know, yeah, the light hadn't turned green, but somebody got up the back seat, and they had something in their hand, and they were turning facing me, and I was like, oh my God, and my heart was just beating out of my chest. And I was like, oh God, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Because I can't, because they got on the passenger side. So if it was something finna go down, I couldn't go around them. And I think they were just getting out to stretch their legs. And then I realized they had a cell phone in their hand. So then they got back in the car. But then it was like the light turned and they wouldn't move. And that's my thing. I don't be blowing at people because people crazy.
Yeah.
And so I agree with you. Like, I stay in my house, don't do nothing. But this time I sit in my house and somebody just bop up in here. Unfortunately, I got a dog, but and so I don't know that that's necessarily the answer, because again, stuff can happen to you anytime, any place.
That's what I was saying. I was like, that's why I thank God for his protection, because anything could happen. Even though I don't go anywhere, like I said, anything could happen. But all you have is God. Whenever you go out, you don't have no when you don't have no protection, sometimes all you have, sometimes most times all you have is him through the midst of a storm, through the midst of chaos, mental torment, through all the bills. Whenever you get paid, you just feel like you just got something else got to be paid off, something else broken. Currently going on with me right now. Something just being broken or something like that. Sometimes all you have is God who can sustain you. My problem is I am getting a little off topic. I'm so sorry. My problem is I can be vulnerable with my mom, with my grandfather, but sometimes it's hard for me to really open up and be vulnerable to God. And that's an issue because if I can't be truly vulnerable to God, then how am I be truly vulnerable to anybody else? How am I be truly vulnerable to myself if I can't be vulnerable to the person that made me?
So what you mean about being vulnerable?
Basically just opening up. As cliche as people say, all you gotta do is surrender, give it to God. People don't understand how hard it can be to just up and surrender, especially if you out doing stuff that you don't got no business, or if you're out struggling and you feel like nobody's listening. It's like it could be hard to just open your hands and just say, I'm giving it to you. Or if you keep praying for the same thing and it's like you just in one big cycle and you like, man, man, I feel like God don't want to listen to me right now because I'm just keep doing the same thing over and over again. What's the point of me even trying to talk to him? But at the same time, God is God is not a human. He doesn't abide by our human rules. He's God. So we can go to him for any and everything at any time, anywhere. But again, it is hard to be vulnerable.
So how do you know God is real?
How do I know? You look outside. You look. You know. I just I just know too. I just can't. I can't not. It's sometimes you can't even explain how something really just know it's there. Like even with you breathing, you inhaling and exhaling it, you can't even see it, but you know it's there. And you're breathing, you and without air, you cannot survive. Just like air without God, you cannot survive. Through Him is the only way we can have life. We can't even see air, but you can feel it. You can feel air when it moves. You can feel God whenever it moves. Whenever God is moving through a prayer, whenever He's moving through miracles, whenever He's moving through any circumstances, even when you're praying, you can feel Him moving, and in such a way that you get overwhelmed. And it does happen because when people singing and people playing instruments or people just doing something that has something to do with God, letting them open up, you can feel it. It's a different type of it's a presence and it's unexplainable. You just have to be you have to be there. You have to be in that present. You have to be in the present so you can understand that He is real.
Now, so you talk a good bit about your mom and your aunts, and your grandfather.
Yeah.
And so to me, I would assume that means that you feel like you had a good solid foundation and upbringing and a good support system.
I did.
So tell me about somebody that, because I'd asked you this earlier, but tell me about somebody other than Deacon Jesse that um, inspired you.
Uncle June?
Okay, so talk to me
Sure.
about Uncle June.
Uncle June, man, that's the minister of music. I seen him hop from drums to organ to keys, from keys to bass. I'm like, this a smooth guy. So I sometimes I just see him in that mode, and he'll just like just start going crazy. We were playing songs and stuff like that, and I'm like, man, he really in that zone, especially when he on bass and stuff like that. I'm like, man, I really wish I could do that. And I'm not gonna lie, Uncle Drew didn't really used to play a lot when I was younger, but when he did play, I definitely paid attention because I thought he was the coldest thing since sliced bread. I don't even know how that go, but I thought he was the coldest thing to sliced bread. And I'm like, man, I wish I could do that. Eventually I got there, you know. I got there, but still to this day, he just it never he do something all the time that never ceases to amaze me. And with me and him playing, it's like he'll do something and I'll just catch on right into it. And while you don't have to tell me nothing, it's just like you got it. It's like right there, like just no communication.
So let me ask you this. So I've always wanted this. So, and I've seen Brother June do this. I don't think I've seen Jesse do it, but I've seen Brother June do this, and I've seen a lot of like drummers on videos and stuff do this. And so I've seen you do it like a few times. So the spirit gets high, and I'm not like we're being silly. I'm like it's just like really flowing, and you just get to bouncing, your hair flying everywhere, and just like every beat you just. So what be going through your head when you get in that zone?
There's nothing going through my head. It's just go. Everything just goes. Like spirit high. There's nothing in my head. It's like everything just going. Everything you just know where everything's supposed to be, so you don't have to think about it. It's just like second nature at that point. Whenever you get to a zone, you don't there's no thinking. You just in there. Like you know how it feels to be in the zone with certain things. You're not even thinking about it. It's like second nature at that point. You just going. And that's how pretty much it is whenever we get up there. It's like ain't no time, ain't no room for thinking. We just there. We just gonna go.
So, all right. So outside of the two individuals that you mentioned in church, um who would you say is your favorite drummer? Or is there a drummer outside of these two individuals that you mentioned in church that you have like looked at or studied?
Um, I don't know. It's I guess I would say CJ Thompson, but even then I barely watch him anymore.
So who is CJ Thompson?
He's a famous drummer. He's a great. He played behind John P. Key.
Okay.
Yeah, other gospel artists, other artists in general. He's just really good at it. Like he's really good.
So we talked a lot about church and you being a musician and things like that. So and you're 20 years old, you got God willing, you got a lot of life ahead of you. So what is it that, you would aspire to do as far as a career? Like what are some of your long-term goals? Where are you trying to head?
Um, I really want to help. This is vague, but I really want to help children out because I see too many of people my age dying, being misdirected, being misguided, mistreated, thrown cast to the side, and I don't want that to be for our next generation of kids. It's just I really want them to feel like they have somewhere to go, have someone to talk to. I was doing camp counseling, and it was just one kid and he was always doing bad stuff. I'm like, bro, why you always being bad? At first he wouldn't talk to me, so I had to force him. I'm like, if you don't talk to me, I'm gonna have to take away your recess. So he talked to me. He was like, man, I was like, why you always doing bad stuff? He was like, cause everybody say I'm a bad kid. I'm like, man, you're not a bad kid. I told him I think you could have the potential to be a great person, a great kid. You just have to believe in yourself. And I told him I believed in him. He started shedding a few tears. And sometimes it's just like the bad things stick to you more than the good things. So whenever people constantly tell you that you're not enough, or you a bad person, or you this, or you that, it's so hard to just not act on it because again, words are powerful and they can move you. So whenever you're constantly digging this hole and telling this kid that he's a bad kid, them words are going to transform and they're going to move outwardly through him, and now he's really going to be a bad kid. But it's, it just took me to speak life into him, and it felt like his whole world had changed at that moment. And sometimes you just need to speak life into these kids, man, because these kids, sometimes all they know is that they bad, or they not this, or they dumb, or fat, or ugly, or whatever. And you just have to go about it a different way. You have to talk to them because kids are human too.
So would you consider being a school teacher?
No,
Why?
subjects.
What?
Subject. I don't want to teach no subject. I have to be a counselor or something like that. I couldn't be no teacher. I'll be a sub, but I couldn't be no teacher.
So you can see yourself being a counselor.
Yeah, I'll be a nice counselor. Talk to them.
Okay.
Be relatable. Tell them when they doing wrong, but don't beat on them. Lift them up when they need to be lifted up. If they need a shoulder to cry on, because I have kids crying on my shoulder and tell me I'm a big brother to them, or I'm a influence to them and stuff like that. And that's why me being who I am, I have to hold myself to a certain standard, and have to be like, even if you don't know, people are always watching you, especially if you're a leader, if you're a chosen leader, because you can't pick yourself to be a leader. It's either you got it or you don't. But you're always being watched, and somebody's always trying to mimic what you do.
Okay. All right. So look, our theme or the name of the podcast is Our Children Need Roots and Wings. And so when we talk about roots, it's about providing young people with a solid foundation. And then when we talk about wings, it's using that foundation of those roots to be able to soar and reach their God-given potential. And so I know that, there are a lot of young people in our church that look up to you, um, especially some of your younger cousins. And so if you could give them a message on what they could potentially be in life, what would you share with them?
I would say to them just to be true to who they are. Be true to who you are. Please always put God in the center of everything that you do. Not just first, but the center. Because if he's in the center, he's in the heart of it. Make sure he's in the center of everything that you do. And make sure that you be truthful to yourself. Make sure that you're honest. And please make sure that you're humble. Because being humble will get you anywhere.
All right. So, Mr. Nixon, I want to thank you for joining us on today. It's been a very fun conversation. I want to
Yes.
thank you all for watching and tuning in. Please check out our YouTube page for previous episodes, and we will see you next time.
All right, we out.
You have been tuned into the Baton Rouge STEM podcast, Our Children Need Roots and Wings, a production of the EFOD Company.